How you guys doing today? This is Darius from Down on TV. Welcome to the channel. So today I wanted to critique a YouTuber that I actually watch and listen to. His name is Gent Z. He's a YouTuber who talks about classical, elegant, how to basically be a gentleman in the modern day. And men of the modern age have lost the ability to be gentlemen like our forefathers were. And a lot of his advice is really good, but we're dealing with the modern woman, and women of today do not appreciate this kind of elegance. They may vainly say it in words, but in action, who they go for? Rappers, drug dealers, all the type of men who are not gentlemen. These men use women and throw them away, and yet women flock to them. So, but I'm gonna critique him because he basically reacted to a video stating that why men should offer their seats because a woman was complaining in New York how all those men were sitting down in the train station and didn't offer their seat. But the modern woman wants equality, but complains about it. They want to be treated like the 1950s. But we're gonna watch and listen to what he says.
Many women feel disappointed at the total lack of chivalry that men display today. At the same time, men feel justified in not being chivalrous, claiming it's a result of gender equality. Today, I'm going to take a look at why men should consider giving up their seat for women, why men aren't doing it, and how to do it without causing offense. This video recently went viral because it highlights an issue that is decades old but still causes such strong feelings on both sides. We have a woman here riding a busy train, and she's standing up because there are no free seats. What she notices is that many of these seats are occupied by men, and while it would be traditional and chivalrous for a man to give up his seat for a lady, that's not what's happening here. So why exactly is that, and is that a problem?
I can give you an example. The reason why men no longer are giving up their seats and doing all these extra things because modern women today have high anxiety. A woman's number one fear is being raped and attacked by a man. That's her number one fear at all times. See, female nature is always at a high anxiety. Whereas in the past, women were married very young and they were in a small tribe or community where it was people that they knew. But in big cities, women are surrounded by nothing but strangers. They're surrounded by strange men, strange women. So their anxiety is always high, no matter what. Even if the city is safe, the women's anxiety is always at high. So the number one thing men want to do if they're on a date, if they're in an interaction with a woman, is to lower her anxiety. And so men today, because women claim uh, sexual assault, they claim rape, they claim all these things, men don't want any trouble because the legal system is so messed up and one sided. It believes the woman that men now have learned the only way to avoid all these issues with the legal system when you could be just a bystander in something or casually doing something just to be nice because women don't trust nice guys. So men have decided to just don't interact with women as little as possible in order to not get in these issues of assault or making a woman feel uncomfortable. So men have been trained because we work with majority women in our jobs. We train ourselves for our safety mechanism is to interact with women as little as possible if we don't know them personally. So this is the number one reason why those men, because they don't know her, she don't know him. So to avoid any high anxiety situations from women, men decided to not mess with them like that. So, but let's continue.
I think our society has lost a sense of community, and technology is a big part of that problem. Look at the men here, they are sucked into their devices, oblivious to what's going on around them. Maybe they even would give up their seats for a woman if they noticed her. I'm not saying we shouldn't go on our phones on a train, but remember to still be aware of your surroundings and look up once in a while.
This is true. A lot of people have no situational awareness. It is beyond crazy. Most people do not pay attention. It's disgusting. But yes, he said we lost our sense of community. Yes, because we're all crammed in these big cities. We don't know each other. So you can't knock on your neighbor's door at your apartment and ask for a cup of sugar. So, and because of this environment is actually horrible for women. Their anxiety is very high because they know no one. They don't feel protected. So their anxiety is high. So they're more likely to claim allegations, all that. So now you don't, and then the legal system protects women so much that men's only protection from women um, nature is to basically just don't interact with them.
Now, a lot of men in the comments had justifications for why they wouldn't give up their seat for a woman. Let's see what they said. Chivalry is dead because women killed it, wrote one. Feminism, they got what they asked for, said another. A third person wrote, women wanted to be treated as equals. Now that they are, women are deciding they don't like it. And there's a whole bunch of other comments exactly like this.
And it's true. Feminism did kill all the chivalry in men, unfortunately. And they really don't want equality. They want to be treated good. They want the privileges of being a woman, like holding doors, get all the special treatment, men not being too hard on them on projects and situations, but they also want the equal outcomes. They want the outcome of being able to be a CEO, get all these different things to not be judged for when they're being bots, sleeping around with different men and everything like that. So women want to have their cake and eat it too, like children. Unfortunately, women have the mindset of children. So that's just the real truth of it.
That I won't bore you with. But there's a mindset here that I think runs through these sentiments. It's a mindset of scarcity, which believes there's a limited amount of kindness that one can disperse. Everything must be transactional, and no transaction is better than an unequal transaction.
Women do not trust nice guys. Women do not like they secretly they don't tell you this, but they don't like nice guys. Women are naturally distrustful of men they don't know. They're naturally. They'll do a fake smile, but their anxiety is very high and they do not trust men they don't know. If you're being extra nice to them, they're like, why is he being extra nice? This is weird, like because she wouldn't be do the same thing, so she's projecting. So women do not like men who are extra nice because they get very suspicious and it raises their anxiety because they know men desire women for sex and love, and women are very skeptical of nice guys. They don't like it because now it's like, okay, what do you want?
Here are some more comments. Equal rights, remember? Since women said men and women are equal, now enjoy the show. Then we have a comment from a woman who said, we wanted equality, we got it. We can't demand equal treatment and special treatment. And I agree, it would be wrong of women to demand that men should give up their seats for women. I think what the woman in this video was disappointed by was that among all of the men on that train, not one of them decided to be selfless and considerate.
The old saying, nice guys finish last, that's true. Men who are gentlemen, sweet, and nice get done the worst. We're in modern society. Back in the day, in the 20s, 30s, 40s, and 50s, women were trained and educated. They had specific schools for women how to be wise mothers and women. Women were trained to be very humble, sweet, generous, and considerate. But women want men to still have that same 1950s, 1920s mindset. But women do not honor, they do not submit, they do not give reverence to men for them humbling themselves. So this guy, I can tell he means well. Men should be gentlemen, but in certain circumstances. Holding the door, sure, but you have to understand what environment we are in. Women will use and abuse you if you're not careful. That's why you should be genuine in your actions.
I believe that we live in a free society and we shouldn't be mandated to behave in a certain way. But that society can easily descend into a selfish, isolationist hellhole if we forget to look out for others. And being considerate doesn't mean you believe that women are weak or less able to stand. It can simply
That's true. We shouldn't be. The Lord teaches us about how to care for one another as we would care for ourselves. But let's keep it a buck here. Women are weak, they're nasty, they're not feminine anymore. Women lack correction. And also, being a gentleman is not just being overly nice or overly humbling and being submissive to the woman. Also, being a man is correcting women's bad behavior. That's what's lacking in our society. And so, men, because we cannot correct women, well, we could, but the government's in the way on a societal level, on an institutional level. Because we cannot correct women's bad behaviors, men are less inclined to want to be gentlemen and want to be chivalrous because act, they would actually get treated worse because they'll be looked at with suspicion and they're more likely to get in a situation that they don't want to be in legally because maybe that woman may falsely accuse you of something. So men have been instructed through the consequences of other men to not get involved if it's not their business.
be because you're being nice. This guy, I think, had it right in the comments. I am an old guy, but I always offer the seat I'm occupying to a lady. Common courtesy.
That's a boomer. See, boomers are very disconnected in the modern time. They found their wives 40 years ago. I'm like, brother, things have changed. These women are whores. They're whores, they're thotties. They divorce you just because they're upset. They wake up one moment and divorce you and take all your stuff. You cannot hold that same, you cannot hold your wife who you got back in the 60s to women in 2024 in the modern time because women now have full authority to ruin your life and they know it and they use it against you. So men now have to be very careful on who they pick when they interact with a woman. At work, you really have to be careful, especially if you work in a majority female environment. You have to kind of be a little antisocial because one joke, one anything, women are cowards. They don't tell you directly when they're uncomfortable or they don't like something. They make a decision in their mind and then go behind your back and report you to HR or to the manager like, oh, he made me uncomfortable. But in your face, they were smiling, laughing, but then behind closed door after the fact, they're making a decision in their mind to ruin your career or your life.
Common courtesy, exactly. Just like holding the door open for the person behind you. I miss chivalry and try to sustain it. For most men, it's instinctive. I think it's instinctive.
Notice how those guys are old white guys or boomer men who are completely disconnected from modern times. Boomers are stuck in their ways and they do not understand the reality of today's time.
For some men, including you gents who are watching this channel, but not for every man. But when enough women chastise men for standing up, opening doors, or offering seats, I can understand why men are no longer inclined to do so. I would understand this too, but I think this chastising is mostly imaginary. As you can imagine, I go out of my way to do a lot of chivalrous things, and I've never once been criticized for it or had a negative
No, women are not going to criticize you for doing something good. But women have their nature is always in high anxiety. When you're on a date, when you're interacting with a woman, your number one, if you pay attention and you pay attention to social cues, your number one job when you're interacting with a woman is to lower her anxiety. Why do you think women get go with players, men who have a lot of women? Because the woman in her mind thinks, oh, he has a lot of women, so he won't attack me or sexually assault me, or he won't murder me because he has all these other women, even though men like that can still murder you and sexually assault you. But women aren't the brightest when it comes to picking men. But I digress.
Response. The comment ended with, "That said, I'm glad most women still seem to appreciate it." I agree, and one of the things that makes me happy about this video going viral is that obviously a lot of women feel the same way that she does. If you're looking for a sign to be more chivalrous, maybe this is it. And finally, I noticed this comment that really struck a chord with me. All these men in the comments saying how women wanted equality, so now they aren't going to be nice to women anymore. I was thinking, and I have actually never met a high quality, successful, confident man who says these things. I think it's very telling of the kind of man it is.
So, what she said was, it's not that men don't want to be nice, men don't want any trouble. You have to understand that doing stuff for women is a double-edged sword. You can be nice about it, but also she can take things the wrong way. But anyways,
I agree, and I think the more happy you are with yourself and your own success, the more likely you are to show kindness to others. I sense a lot of bitterness in the comments from these men, but perhaps they don't feel like gentlemen deep down. The more you can do to improve your life,
and that's that who hurt you nonsense, brother. Men are the modern man is bitter because of his life. Society has shitted on him. Women have shitted on him. He did the chivalrous thing. He was the nice guy. He got screwed over in his relationships. So, men, when you learn the hard way, you're going to feel some type of way. It's nothing wrong with being a little disappointed and upset with what the world told us how things will be and how it actually happened in the real world.
and feel good about yourself, the more likely you are to pass this on to others. Also, I didn't see this in the comments, but there is something that bothers me about these guys who complain. Are you such a baby that you so badly need to sit down? You're supposed to be a man. I'm sure many of these guys
No woman can define a man. If a man wants it, first off, in African cultures, Middle Eastern cultures, the men eat first. Women' whole purpose, that the reason why they were created, women were created to serve men. The men eat first in Africa and the Middle East, in these patriarchal countries, where women were meant to give submission and reverence. To submit to your man is not weakness, but it is to give reverence. It's to show you being a good representation of him. Because if you're submissive and a good, loyal, and obedient wife, that means he's doing his job because he's providing and protecting for you. He's literally willing to die for you. So in return, you are to submit and trust him and obey him. Give reverence to him. Giving reverence and submission is strength, it's not a weakness. So the men eat first because that is their reward for the hard labor and risk that they have to do. That is their reward for working hard, supporting a family where she doesn't have to work. And many people miss that point. Women were created to be servants of men, to help build the family unit up so the men can do great things to build the family last name.
guys here complaining about feminism also view themselves as very masculine, alpha male type of guys, and yet they're complaining about having to stand up. It's like a man who would complain about carrying something heavy for a woman. Are you not man enough that you can just carry it and not make a fuss?
Men are not fussing about it. They're pointing out that women want to have their cake and eat it too. How is that fussing? You're stating obviously hypocrisy of female nature. That's all you're doing. Then you're attacking men's characters, saying that they're not men because they point out women's hypocrisy, where they want to have their cake and eat it too. They want 1950s men, but they don't themselves don't want to be 1950s women. They don't have the same etiquettes as the women in the 1950s, but they want the men to have the same standards and etiquettes as men back then. Women back then were submissive and obedient to their man. They couldn't just walk away and divorce him, take all his shit. They couldn't do that. So men pointing out the hypocrisy is not being fussy, is not being feminine, is stating and correcting, is stating women's bad behavior, and then men can correct it. But now in society, you can't correct it because you'll call the cops or the government won't allow you to correct women's bad behavior.
Men throughout history, and many of the former service members who watch this channel, have gone through hell and back to keep our society safe. The least you could do as a privileged person living in a peaceful society is just stand up and
Women back then were submissive. Men are men. Yes, men should be chivalrous, but in today's society, women do not deserve this. If anything, it will give you more trouble. Women back then were submissive. They were obedient to their men. Women today's time treat men like dirt. They're not submissive. You can be kind, sweet, gentleman, do all this stuff. She still will cheat on you, divorce you, or cuckold you. And there's nothing you can do about it, and the state dare you to do something to her.
thinking about this put me down a bit of a rabbit hole, and I was thinking, what if there were a draft? Following this gender equality logic to its extreme,
So I don't want to get too long on this video. I just wanted to state the main points. So men, chivalry is dead due to society changing the gender roles, where women were submissive, sweet, and feminine, where they deserve chivalrous men. Women now are nasty, they hoes, they're man hating, they're disobedient. They don't deserve a chivalrous man. They need to be corrected and trained on how to be feminine women. This is why we need to bring back female only universities to teach women how to be feminine, how to be wives, how to be mothers, like our forefathers did. But anyway, this is Darius from Down on TV. I'm